What you're about to hear is not a statement of facts, but an exploration of theories, forgotten historical documents, and unsettling predictions. This video delves into speculative interpretations of Nikola Tesla's lesser-known work, aiming to provoke thought and intrigue, not to present definitive truths or cause panic. The responsibility for final interpretation is always yours. Nikola Tesla, the visionary genius, warned us about 2026, but his most terrifying prophecy was deliberately ignored. Hidden for decades in a forgotten New York warehouse, his final cryptic diaries reveal a chilling truth: a global resonance pulse due in 2026, capable of altering human consciousness, sparking mass anxiety, and triggering geological chaos. Discover the shocking insights Tesla desperately tried to convey about the Great Hum and how humanity's dismissal of his warnings may have sealed our fate. The future was predicted, but ignored. Is it too late to listen now? The name Nikola Tesla conjures images of boundless genius, alternating current, wireless energy, radical inventions that shaped our modern world. But beyond the patents and public demonstrations lay a mind so far ahead of its time, it bordered on the mystical. Tesla was a man of profound visions, driven by an understanding of the universe that transcended conventional science. Yet, in his later years, misunderstood and often ridiculed, many of his most radical theories, and perhaps his most terrifying warnings, were dismissed as the ramblings of a madman. His life, particularly its twilight, was shrouded in mystery. Tesla lived a solitary existence in New York City hotels, his once brilliant mind reportedly consumed by obsessions with pigeons and abstract mathematics. After his death in 1943, the FBI swiftly seized his papers, citing national security concerns. Much of his work remains classified, fueling decades of speculation about hidden inventions and suppressed knowledge. But what if, amidst these well-known mysteries, there lay a secret far darker, far more urgent, buried not by government agents, but by the very indifference of a world unwilling to listen? This is not a story of his triumphant inventions, but of his final, chilling observations. It speaks of a hidden legacy, unearthed decades later, detailing a disturbing prediction for the year 2026. A prophecy so unsettling, so profound in its implications for human consciousness and planetary stability, that it was deliberately ignored, relegated to the realm of scientific delusion. The very essence of its warning, the future was predicted, but ignored. Imagine, if you will, Tesla's final frantic scribblings. Not about death rays or free energy, but about a cosmic resonance, a pulse of unimaginable power set to envelop our planet. What if, in his solitude, Tesla peered beyond the veil of conventional physics and glimpsed an impending reality that threatened the very fabric of our sanity and our world? This is the chilling premise we explore. A genius who not only envisioned the future, but desperately tried to warn us, only to be dismissed, his most vital message lost to the annals of history until now. Our journey to this terrifying truth begins in the decaying heart of New York City. Not in a pristine museum or a bustling archive, but in the desolate, forgotten corners where urban decay slowly reclaims brick and mortar. The year is 2010, decades after Tesla's passing. The Manhattan sky is a steel gray. A constant drizzle coats the city in a sheen of melancholic light. The air hangs heavy with the familiar scent of exhaust fumes, damp concrete, and the ghost of forgotten industry. Here, in the shadows of towering skyscrapers, stands a decrepit, abandoned warehouse in a forgotten industrial stretch of Brooklyn. Its windows are shattered, its brick facade crumbling, a testament to decades of neglect. This isn't just any warehouse. It's a site once owned by a defunct company that briefly handled some of Tesla's later, less celebrated patents. Its interior is a vast, echoing space, filled with dust, debris, and the chilling quiet of forgotten ambitions. Our protagonist is Elias Vance, a former brilliant science historian. Discredited and ostracized by the mainstream academic community for his relentless pursuit of what they deemed fringe theories about Tesla's unpublished work, Vance had become a pariah. His face is gaunt, etched with years of tireless research and lonely obsession. His eyes, however, still burn with an unyielding intensity, a quiet defiance against the skepticism that had consumed his career. For years, a single cryptic reference in a recently declassified FBI file, a brief mention of non-standard notations found among Tesla's effects at the New Yorker hotel, had haunted him. He believed Tesla had hidden something profound, beyond the reach of conventional seizure. It was a cold, blustery November afternoon. The wind howled through the broken panes, whistling a mournful tune. Vance, armed with only a flashlight and a stubborn conviction, meticulously navigated the treacherous interior of the warehouse. His footsteps echoed eerily in the cavernous space. He searched methodically, dust coating his coat, his breath misting in the cold air. For weeks, he'd been chasing rumors, obscure documents, vague hints. His hands, chapped and raw, ran over rusty pipes, forgotten machinery. Then, deep within a cluttered, forgotten corner, beneath a collapsed stack of wooden crates, his flashlight beam caught a glimpse of something solid, out of place. It was a small, exceptionally well-preserved metal security box, tucked away in a makeshift, hidden compartment in the concrete floor. The box was ancient, rusted at the hinges, but clearly designed to withstand time. His heart hammered in his chest. A cold dread, mixed with exhilarating anticipation, seized him. This wasn't just a discovery. It felt like a direct connection to the whispered final thoughts of a genius. He knew with a primal certainty that he had just stumbled upon Tesla's final secret, hidden from a world unwilling to listen. With trembling hands, Elias Vance pried open the rusted security box. A metallic tang, mingling with the musty scent of decay, filled the frigid air of the abandoned warehouse. Inside, nestled amongst crumbling blueprints and peculiar metallic components, lay a stack of small, leather-bound diaries, their covers brittle with age. These were not the meticulously organized journals Tesla was known for. These were frenetic, almost desperate notebooks, filled with frantic scribblings, strange diagrams, and complex calculations that seemed to defy conventional physics. They were the last, most confidential thoughts of Nikola Tesla, hidden for decades. Vance carefully extracted the diaries, his fingers brushing against fragile, almost petrified paper. The pages were a kaleidoscope of cryptic entries, diagrams that looked like intricate cosmic webs, overlapping frequencies and geometric shapes he'd never encountered in any of Tesla's public works. The writing, though in English, was terse, almost poetic, often breaking into what appeared to be mathematical equations intertwined with philosophical musings. It was clear these were Tesla's last, most private, and perhaps most deranged reflections on the universe. As Vance began to decipher the initial entries, a disturbing pattern emerged. Tesla, in his final years, had become increasingly obsessed with what he called cosmic and terrestrial resonance frequencies. He believed the Earth itself was a gigantic oscillator, vibrating at specific, unperceived frequencies, and that these vibrations were profoundly affected by planetary alignments and solar energy emissions. But more alarmingly, he posited that these energies directly influenced human consciousness and the planet's electromagnetic field. The more Vance read, the colder the warehouse felt, despite the absence of a draft. A sense of an unseen, all-pervasive force began to settle upon him. The terror in Tesla's later notes was palpable. He described a looming event, a singular, powerful energy surge that he dubbed the global resonance pulse. According to his frantic calculations, this pulse was set to align in 2026. It wasn't a physical impact or a conventional disaster. Instead, Tesla believed this pulse would be purely energetic, capable of subtly yet devastatingly altering human brain activity, amplifying anxieties, and destabilizing the very fabric of global stability. Vance felt a growing knot of dread in his stomach. This wasn't just a scientific theory. It was a chilling prediction of a world on the brink of an invisible collapse, foreseen by a genius dismissed as insane. The air in the warehouse seemed to hum with an unheard frequency, a faint echo of Tesla's final, desperate warning. As Elias Vance delved deeper into the newly discovered diaries, Tesla's visions of the global resonance pulse intensified, painting a terrifying picture of its effects on humanity. The first and most insidious consequence described in the cryptic notes was the Great Hum. This wasn't a sound audible to the human ear in the conventional sense, but a low-frequency, pervasive vibration that Tesla predicted would begin to permeate the very atmosphere, a silent symphony of impending chaos. Tesla's diagrams, crude yet precise, depicted brainwaves under the influence of this unheard hum. He believed it would subtly yet profoundly affect human consciousness, manifesting as a pervasive collective anxiety. Vance imagined millions, then billions, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread, an underlying current of fear and irritability, without any discernible external cause. This wouldn't be a sudden panic, but a slow, insidious erosion of sanity, leading to widespread social ruptures, irrational behavior, and a profound loss of collective reason. The genius saw humanity, unknowingly, descending into a shared psychological nightmare, driven by an invisible force. The diaries detailed chilling scenarios, previously calm individuals erupting in sudden, unprovoked outbursts of anger. Communities fracturing over minor disagreements, fueled by an unseen neurological irritant. A general sense of pervasive gloom, leading to spikes in mental health crises and a terrifying increase in irrational acts. Tesla, who dreamt of illuminating the world with free energy, had seemingly discovered the dark side of universal resonance, a frequency that could subtly dismantle the very fabric of human empathy and logic. The constant, underlying hum, though unheard, would become the soundtrack to humanity's unraveling. What was most disturbing was Tesla's chilling prediction of how this great hum would manifest globally, intensifying as 2026 approached. He described cities, once vibrant and bustling, becoming epicenters of simmering tension, their populations living in a state of perpetual low-grade fear, always on edge, always irritable. It was a vision of humanity turning on itself, not through war or famine, but through a slow, agonizing descent into shared madness, orchestrated by an invisible cosmic rhythm. Vance felt a prickling sensation on his skin, an almost primal fear that maybe, just maybe, he could already perceive a faint, almost imperceptible hum in the ambient noise around him. Beyond the psychological torment of the great hum, Tesla's ominous writings delve into another, equally terrifying consequence of the 2026 resonance: the failure of connection. In his cryptic diagrams, he sketched human minds, not as interconnected networks of thought, but as isolated islands, bombarded by distorted signals. He believed that under the influence of the global resonance pulse, humanity would lose its fundamental capacity to discern truth, becoming profoundly susceptible to collective manipulations and widespread illusions. Tesla, who envisioned global wireless communication, foresaw a dark irony. The very technologies meant to connect us, radio waves, electrical grids, and by extension, our modern internet, will become insidious vectors, amplifying this confusion. His notes spoke of ghost signals that would subtly alter perception, causing people to misinterpret data, misremember events, and succumb to narratives that bore no resemblance to reality. Elias Vance imagined the pervasive spread of deepfakes, the echo chambers of social media, and the rapid erosion of objective truth. It wasn't just about believing lies. It was about losing the ability to even recognize truth. The diaries painted a chilling picture of a society where consensus reality would simply cease to exist. Each individual, influenced by their unique exposure to the altered frequencies, would inhabit their own version of truth, leading to unprecedented societal fragmentation. Debates would descend into utter chaos, understanding would become impossible, and manipulation would be effortless. Tesla's diagrams hinted at how malicious actors could learn to harness these energetic shifts, using the very tools of communication to sow discord on a massive, global scale. This was Tesla's ultimate warning about control, not through overt force, but through a subtle, pervasive alteration of perception itself. He foresaw a world where the human mind, once a beacon of reason, will become a malleable canvas for engineered illusions, a tragic casualty of the very frequencies that promised enlightenment. The implications were staggering. Entire populations led astray by engineered realities, trapped in a self-perpetuating cycle of misinformation, unable to find their way back to a shared truth. The failure of connection was not just a communication breakdown. It was a collapse of shared reality, a spiritual blindness that would consume the world by 2026. Beyond the psychological and societal unraveling, Tesla's chilling prophecies also implicated the very ground beneath our feet. In his later diaries, intertwined with the theories of the global resonance pulse, were frantic annotations and diagrams detailing a profound connection between this cosmic energy and the Earth's geological stability. Tesla, who famously claimed the ability to split the Earth in half with resonant frequencies, now seemed to warn of an unintended, terrifying consequence of these natural alignments. His notes and sketches described the Earth not just as a solid mass, but as a giant, complex oscillator, constantly vibrating at various frequencies. He posited that the upcoming global resonance pulse in 2026 would disrupt this delicate balance, creating a disharmony that would manifest as accelerated geological instability. Vance read descriptions of unusual seismic activity in areas not typically prone to earthquakes, and an alarming increase in volcanic eruptions from long-dormant peaks. Tesla's diagrams showed energy waves rippling through the planet's core, creating unprecedented pressures along fault lines. The terrifying implication was clear. The very frequencies that could alter human minds might also be stirring the Earth's sleeping giants. The diagrams depicted coastlines reshaped by tsunamis triggered by powerful underwater quakes, and vast landmasses fracturing. Tesla's concern wasn't just about the immediate destruction. but about a long-term geological shift, a reordering of the planet's crust in response to this cosmic interference. This wasn't simply a natural disaster. It was the planet reacting to an unseen, pervasive energy, a terrifying echo of human actions or cosmic influences on a grand scale. Elias Vance felt a cold knot of fear in his stomach. He recalled recent, unexplained seismic events across the globe, minor tremors in unexpected places. What if these were early whispers of Tesla's predicted geological chaos? The genius, who dreamt of harnessing the planet's power, had seemingly stumbled upon a dark truth about its vulnerability and how an external, resonant force could turn Earth's natural processes into a devastating weapon against its inhabitants. The warnings were dire, suggesting that 2026 would not only bring psychological and social turmoil, but also a profound, physical reshaping of the world as we knew it, triggered by an invisible resonant hum. As Elias Vance pieced together the fragments of Tesla's terrifying final warnings, he understood the profound tragedy of the genius's later years. These weren't the ravings of a madman. They were the desperate pleas of a prophet whose visions far outstripped the comprehension of his time. Tesla, isolated and often destitute, tried to convey these truths, but the world had long since stopped listening, dismissing his warnings as eccentricities. The future was predicted, but ignored. This message, central to Vance's own pursuit, was the agonizing core of Tesla's final despair. Tesla's later notes were filled with a palpable frustration. He describes futile attempts to alert authorities, to submit his findings to scientific journals, to gather support from former colleagues. But his reputation had been systematically dismantled by rival industrial interests, by governments suspicious of his free energy ideals, and by a scientific community too entrenched in its own paradigms to accept truths that defied their current understanding. His warnings about cosmic frequencies affecting human minds and planetary stability were met with scorn, ridicule, or outright suppression. Vance imagined Tesla alone in his hotel room, frantically sketching these doomsday pulse diagrams, making these chilling calculations, knowing the sheer scale of what was coming, yet utterly powerless to stop the world's march towards its predicted fate. The irony was brutal. The man who brought light and power to millions was himself enveloped in a darkness of unheeded foresight. Every attempt to warn was met with silence, or worse, with active efforts to ensure his ideas remained in obscurity. His final, most critical messages were deliberately buried, deemed too dangerous, too destabilizing, or simply too unbelievable. The motivations for this suppression were multifaceted. Powerful institutions, governments, and corporations would have had vested interests in maintaining the status quo, fearing the societal chaos and loss of control that a widespread belief in Tesla's final predictions could unleash. A global resonance pulse affecting human sanity and causing geological upheaval would shatter all existing power structures. Thus, Tesla's writings were not merely ignored. They were actively discredited and systematically suppressed, their existence denied or twisted into harmless curiosities. The very act of his genius seeing too much too soon became his ultimate curse. This systemic dismissal left Tesla a prisoner of his own insights, a prophet screaming into a void. His terrifying visions for 2026 were not meant to be found until the very last moment, a desperate, final alarm clock set by a man who knew the world would only listen when it was too late. Vance, tracing the faded ink of Tesla's hand, felt a profound connection to that lonely genius, the shared burden of unwanted truth in a world determined to remain comfortably blind. As Elias Vance delved deeper into Tesla's hidden legacy, the eerie silence of the abandoned New York warehouse began to feel less like solitude and more like a surveillance chamber. He was no longer just a historian. He was an unauthorized custodian of a forbidden truth, and the pursuit of that truth came with an unseen price. What started as academic curiosity quickly transformed into a terrifying realization. The forces that had silenced Tesla were still active, still watching. He noticed the subtle signs first. His research computer, isolated from public networks, developed inexplicable glitches. Files he hadn't opened in days would appear as recently accessed. Phone calls to his burner phone were often met with static or immediate disconnects. Then came the more chilling incidents. A discarded coffee cup, left on his desk, would be subtly moved. The faint, metallic tang that pervaded the warehouse on the day of the discovery now seemed to linger in his clothes, his hair, an almost imperceptible scent of cosmic warning. Vance knew he was being watched. He saw the same black sedan parked 2 blocks from the warehouse, day after day. Figures in dark suits, seemingly innocuous, would appear and disappear from his peripheral vision. His once skeptical mind, now rewired by Tesla's insights, registered these anomalies with chilling clarity. They weren't after Tesla's old patents for free energy anymore. They were after the truth of the global resonance pulse and what it meant for 2026. And they knew he had it. The air around him felt thick with unseen eyes, the hum of the city seeming to merge with Tesla's predicted great hum, a constant low-frequency thrum of anxiety. The pressure mounted. Vance's financial resources, already strained by years of self-funded research, began to evaporate. His last remaining contacts in academia, once secretly supportive, cut ties abruptly, their voices strained with fear. He was being systematically isolated, forced into the same lonely exile Tesla had experienced. The message was clear: abandon the truth or to disappear. But Vance couldn't abandon it. The terrifying visions of the great hum, the failure of connection, and the accelerated geological instability burned in his mind. He couldn't let Tesla's final warning be ignored again. In the dead of a freezing February night in New York, the city lights shimmering through a thin layer of sleet, Elias Vance made his final desperate move. He knew they were closing in. With trembling hands, his heart pounding like a drum against his ribs, he initiated the complex protocols he'd meticulously set up. He uploaded the encrypted files, the core of Tesla's doomsday pulse writings, to a series of distributed, anonymous servers. He linked them to Deadman's switches set to trigger if his digital activity ceased for 72 hours. He sent the final critical email to a handful of uncompromised independent journalists and radical online collectives, attaching a chilling, condensed summary of Tesla's dire predictions. This was his last stand, a desperate gamble to ensure the truth, however terrifying, saw the light of day. Just as the final upload bar reached 100%, the warehouse doors splintered inwards with a thunderous crash. The splintering crash of the warehouse door marked the end of Elias Vance's physical freedom, but the beginning of his true mission. As dark figures stormed the dusty interior, Vance, now an almost phantom presence, slipped through a hidden access tunnel he had discovered beneath a stack of old conduits. The cold February night air was a sharp contrast to the suffocating dread within. He was gone, vanished into the shadows of the city he had always sought to understand, leaving behind only the cold shell of his abandoned research and the undeniable truth he had set loose. His disappearance, swift and untraceable, quickly became a bizarre headline. Maverick historian vanishes after alarming Tesla claims. The official narrative, meticulously crafted and rapidly disseminated, painted him as a brilliant but deluded eccentric, succumbing to the pressures of his own fringe obsessions. His findings were swiftly dismissed as the ravings of a disturbed mind, Tesla's doomsday pulse, conveniently reclassified as a fantastical hallucination. But Vance's digital legacy was already at work, a ghost in the machine. The encrypted data packets, containing the very heart of Tesla's final warnings, were now circulating. They found their way into the hands of his carefully selected contacts, a shadowy collective of independent researchers who thrived on suppressed knowledge, a few tenacious rogue journalists with an insatiable hunger for inconvenient truths, and a network of disillusioned tech whistleblowers who felt the impending great hum in their own souls. This wasn't a sudden viral explosion in mainstream media. It was a dangerous whisper network, growing exponentially through encrypted forums, dark web communities, and secure peer-to-peer connections. For those who had already sensed the unraveling fabric of reality, those who felt the subtle disquiet in the world, Vance's delusions resonated with terrifying clarity. The global establishment, with its vast, intricate apparatus of disinformation, immediately swung into high gear. AI-powered algorithms flagged conspiracy theory keywords related to Tesla and 2026. Seemingly independent fact-checking organizations swiftly published articles debunking the doomsday pulse as unsubstantiated pseudoscience or gross misinterpretations of complex scientific notes. Social media platforms subtly suppressed discussions, labeling them as harmful content that could incite panic. It was a meticulous, pervasive war for perception, fought in the digital shadows, aimed at burying Vance's truth before it could ignite widespread alarm. Yet the very act of this coordinated suppression, this blatant attempt to silence, only fueled the suspicion for those already awake. The more they tried to bury it, the louder and more insistent the whispers became. The truth, like a persistent low-frequency hum, refused to be entirely silenced. Simultaneously, the physical world continued its alarming, inexorable alignment with Tesla's ancient prophecies. As spring of 2025 gave way to summer, the insidious effects of the global resonance pulse became increasingly palpable. The great hum, though still unheard by most, manifested as a surge in collective anxiety, a pervasive, low-level irritability that permeated daily life. Psychiatric hospitals reported unexplained upticks in admissions for severe panic attacks and generalized unease. The failure of connection deepened. Despite unprecedented levels of digital connectivity, individuals felt more isolated, their ability to discern genuine information from manipulated narratives severely compromised. The very fabric of public discourse frayed, arguments escalating into irrational outbursts, and the Earth itself began to respond. Unexplained, minor tremors were reported in previously stable regions across the United States. Dormant volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest showed signs of increased activity, while subtle, unseasonal shifts in global weather patterns hinted at a planetary system thrown into disarray. The urgency of Tesla's diagrams, of his final ignored warnings, no longer felt like a distant threat. It felt like an unfolding reality, happening right outside our windows, pushing humanity inexorably towards its predicted culmination in 2026. The future was predicted, ignored, and now it was here. The fate of Elias Vance, the solitary scholar who dared to unearth Tesla's final warnings, remains cloaked in mystery, a chilling testament to the power of suppressed truth. But his desperate act, the digital whispers he unleashed, were not in vain. As the final months of 2025 bled into the terrifying reality of 2026, the world could no longer ignore the chilling alignment of Tesla's prophecies with unfolding global events. The leaked fragments, initially dismissed as fringe theories, began to resurface with undeniable relevance, amplified by the very catastrophes they foretold. The Great Hum was now an almost palpable presence, an undercurrent of collective anxiety that permeated daily life in major cities across the United States, from the bustling streets of Chicago to the sun-drenched avenues of Los Angeles. People reported inexplicable restlessness, a persistent sense of unease and heightened irritability, leading to widespread social unrest and unpredictable outbreaks of aggression. It was as if a silent, unseen force was subtly tightening its grip on the global psyche, pushing humanity to its emotional breaking point, exactly as Tesla had predicted. The failure of connection had become absolute. Advanced AI systems generated hyper-realistic news reports, political speeches, and even personal interactions that were indistinguishable from human creation, effectively blurring the lines of truth beyond recognition. Governments and corporations wielded these tools to subtly manipulate public opinion on an unprecedented scale, pushing narratives that served their own agendas. Virtual realities offered escapes so immersive that billions chose to live more in digital constructs than in their physical surroundings. The fundamental ability to discern fact from fiction had eroded, trapping humanity in a labyrinth of engineered realities, where critical thought withered and manipulation became effortless. And the Earth itself groaned under the weight of accelerated geological instability. Major seismic events rattled previously stable regions. The Cascadia subduction zone in the Pacific Northwest, long dormant, showed alarming signs of activity, triggering widespread concern. Volcanic eruptions, far more frequent and powerful, spewed ash and disruption across continents, affecting global air travel and climate patterns. Unprecedented superstorms, fueled by altered atmospheric resonance, battered coastlines, and inexplicable magnetic field fluctuations caused widespread disruptions in communication and navigation systems. Tesla's grim warnings about the planet as a giant, oscillating system reacting to unseen energies were no longer theoretical. They were terrifyingly real. As mid-2026 approached, the convergence of these prophecies was undeniable. The global resonance pulse was no longer a distant concept. It was a present, powerful force, warping human consciousness and destabilizing the very ground beneath our feet. Humanity, caught in the grip of this unseen energy and its own self-imposed digital delusion, was indeed being enveloped. The ancient warnings, once dismissed as the ramblings of a solitary genius, now resonated with horrifying clarity in every crisis, every headline, every desperate human struggle. The terrifying message, the future was predicted, but ignored, echoed with a chilling, undeniable truth. The ultimate fate of Elias Vance, the scholar who dared to bring Tesla's final warnings to light, remains a chilling testament to the formidable power of suppressed truth. Was he silenced, lost to the shadows of those who seek to control knowledge? Or is he merely a ghost, a whisper in the digital winds, his sacrifice serving as the silent, desperate catalyst for the terrifying realities now steadily surfacing? What is certain is that the echo of his desperate revelation, the chilling insights contained within Tesla's final hidden writings, has continued its relentless, unsettling reverberation across the globe. The terrifying reality of 2026, is no longer a distant prophecy from the mind of a forgotten genius. It is the very fabric of our present, intensifying with each passing moment. The global resonance pulse, the great hum, the failure of connection, and the accelerated geological instability are not distant threats. They are the very fabric of our reality, deepening as we inexorably march through this predicted culmination. The central message, searingly clear: the future was predicted, but ignored. And now, the cost of that ignorance is becoming brutally apparent. So, what will you do with this forbidden knowledge? Will you dismiss Tesla's final warnings as just another conspiracy theory, allowing yourself to be lulled further into the great hum, into the manufactured illusions? Or will you bravely question the reality around you, recognizing the alarming truth that the genius of Tesla foresaw a future that we are now living, a future where the very ground beneath our feet and the thoughts within our minds are subtly, imperceptibly, being altered? The time for passive acceptance is over. The low-frequency hum is growing louder. The echoes of Tesla's warnings are fading into the cacophony, but their urgency remains. Leave your deepest thoughts and interpretations in the comments below. Do you honestly believe we are living through the chilling signs of this prophecy? Have you felt the great hum in your own life? Do you possess the courage, the conviction to share this vital warning with your friends, your family, your world? Share this video far and wide. Let's collectively unravel the profound mysteries that powerful entities tirelessly attempt to hide from us all. The time for blind acceptance is over. The time for questioning and for action has arrived. The pulse is here. What will be your legacy in 2026?